Girls explore and embrace their racial identity. Sisters for Life, Best Friends Forever tells the story of little Aria, who is discovering the greatness that lives inside her through life lessons that teach her to develop a strong self-image in a world where young black girls are often overlooked. The series was created by award-winning journalist Bettinita Harris, and she joins us now to discuss her latest book. So, I am the mother of a young black girl, so I have to say this series speaks to me. Can you tell us about the book series and what message you're trying to send, and how you're challenging the invisibility of black women? Because, you know, often there is a lot said when there's nothing being said. We talk often about negative images of black people, but when there are no images at all, that also sends a message.
You're absolutely right. And what I'm trying to do with the books is to tell young black girls that they are enough, that they don't have to fit in, they don't have to be like anyone else, that what they have is enough.
So what prompted you then to write the first book? What did you see? What did you, I guess I'm trying to understand, what was it about the experiences of young black girls that you noticed, that you yourself perhaps experienced, that said to you, you know, I need to write a book for young kids so that they kind of know where they fit in the world as they make their way to the world?
Well, I was having lunch with a colleague of mine, and I talked about how my parents poured into me wisdom, and now I'm able to pour that wisdom into my granddaughters. And some of the issues my oldest granddaughter was having at school are some of the same issues that I had when I was a kid. And I thought, well, you know, one thing I can do is write down the wisdom that I've learned in my lifetime and give it to my granddaughters. It's really they're love stories to my granddaughters, and I'm sharing it with the world.
Oh, I love that. I want to talk to you about your take on Vice President Kamala Harris. Breaking the glass ceiling, being a very visible first female black and South Asian American vice president of the United States, why it's important to attach words like black excellence and black girl magic to these achievements. Some people will look at those phrases and feel like it is separating black girls from everyone else by sort of pointing that out. Why does it have to be black girl magic? Can you talk about why that's important to say to a child?
Well, I understand why they use those terms, but what I tell my granddaughters is that excellence doesn't have a color. Excellence is excellence, period. And black girl magic, I also understand why they use that term. To help promote, you know, achievements of black women and girls. But my take on that is they're talented, they're gifted, they work hard, they've taken advantage of every opportunity that's been presented to them. And magic has nothing to do with it, and neither does luck.
Yeah. Indeed. Your
I love that.
Yeah, me too. And your background also includes your 20-plus years in journalism. How did these experiences, channel your passion for truth-telling, and how has it shaped your voice as a writer?
Well, you know, when I was in journalism, I, as a reporter and as an editor, I always gravitated towards stories of people who didn't have a voice, and stories that would change the status quo and give people access to power. And because of, you know, that feeling of, you know, not being, you know, part of the in crowd or whatever, I was able to come up with stories about what black girls go through. and they're not made up stories. Every book that I've written has an element of truth. The first book, Arya's Crown, when they laughed at my granddaughter because she doesn't call me grandmother, she calls me Queena. They laughed at her. They said, "Oh, your grandmother isn't a queen." And, I said, who are they to decide who I am? I don't want my granddaughters to live in a world where they sit back and people tell them, you are this, you are that. I want them to live in a world where they say, I am strong, I am smart, I can do this. So.
Your latest book, I have it right here. It's called Arya's Rockin' Poofs.
Yes.
I think the discussion of hair when it comes to Black women is we could talk for hours about it, but particularly mothers and daughters, right? It is a time when you're sitting down doing your daughter's hair of relationship building. It's a time of conversation. It's also a time of stress. I remember when my mom would do my hair, and now history is repeating itself as my daughter will go back and forth. I got to pull it like this, and she's like, it's hurting, and so it's a very the connection between hair is multi-layered, and also you look around and other people don't have hair like you. Often even other Black people don't have hair like you. Things are changing now, but I know certainly when I was growing up that wasn't the case, and it's always something that I'm very sensitive about with my daughter, that however her hair is done, she still feels that it is beautiful. I want to ask you, why you focused on hair. What are the life lessons? This is a story, for littler kids, like between 5 and 9. My daughter is 9 today. She will be 10 tomorrow. But these are lessons that are timeless. What do you mean by that?
Well, the story, Arya's Rockin' Poofs, is about hair, but really what it's about is embracing who you are and what you are and taking that to the next level. Hair, especially to African American girls, women, is very important. And I think that we're the only race where our hair can make a political statement. Things are so better true now, but they aren't perfect. And I want my granddaughters to embrace whatever their hair is, because once you start changing things to try to fit in, that's a trick of the enemy. And you change this, you change that, and the next thing you know, you're not yourself. What they have to understand is their authenticity is their superpower.
No, it's so interesting that you say that, Bettinita, because even as a young boy, I was a voracious reader as a child, but there were very few books like this for boys and girls when I was growing up. We read the standards, the Beverly Cleary books, the Judy Blume books, but and those were a little older. But I remember the first time somebody in school asked me, "Does my hair get wet?" And I didn't understand what they were saying, because when something doesn't compute when you're like 6 or 7 years old, and you're like, why would they say that? Because I know that my hair gets wet whenever I jump into the shower, whenever I jump into the pool. And so you don't even know how to respond, because you've never had a conversation that would signify to a 7-year-old that maybe your hair is different than somebody else's hair, but that in fact it does indeed get wet. So the question is, as an author, I don't know, I'm guessing that your publisher must share details with you about this, but I'm curious how often or what the numbers show about people who aren't Black who buy your books, and the books like yours that are seeking to sort of not only empower young children, but also educate those who are perhaps not Black.
Right. Well, I don't have details about the book sales, but I believe that the situation is opening up for people who are not of color, learning about people who are of color. And the school that my granddaughter goes to is very big on having children learn about other cultures and how they live and what they believe. And I think that, well, it would all do us good to learn about other cultures.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that sometimes, we lean into. It's sort of very easy to sort of talk about different music or different foods, different religious practices, but then there are sort of these more subtle differences that we need to recognize as well. I'm just like sort of looking at this little picture here, and I'm having like a flashback. This little picture of Aria's hair in these puffs, because I remember going to school in second grade, and you forget so much in your life. I remember this moment, going to school in second grade with my hair just like this, and a seventh grader who was not black looked at me and said, "You look like Mickey Mouse." And it stuck with me. I went to school feeling all proud of my puffs. And 5 minutes into school, I felt self-conscious again. And, for him, it was just something to tease a kid about. It never even occurred to him that I would be scarred as an adult about that. And so I think it's great that you're addressing this. And just to sort of wrap it up, I think it's great that you're addressing this and also saying to black girls, you can just be. You can be Afro puffs, you can be not. You can be chatty, you can be not. You can just be, and that's fine.
Right. Absolutely. You can smile or you can not smile. Okay? Just be. It's not correct, but be who you be. Right on. And let the world.
Yes.
I love that. Love that. Bettinita Harris, thank you so much. Really fascinating discussion. Congratulations on the new book.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, this is great. Appreciate it.